Hello, hello. Okay, fam, I just need to pause for a moment before I get into this episode and express my gratitude here. The messages I have been receiving from you all, the comments, the reviews, and the DMs of just saying how much these episodes have resonated with you just gives me chills. Like, I honestly teared up yesterday because someone shared with me how these episodes feel like they are hearing someone they are comfortable with, like a close friend talking to them. Like, oh, my heart loves this. Is honestly one of the reasons why I started this podcast, to connect with you all in such an intimate new way where you are seen, heard, and understood, and also where you are not alone in this journey and get to have a new bestie, me, in your back pocket to cheer you on and give you the powerful tools and guidance along the way. So, to all of you out there listening while you are driving or doing the dishes or folding laundry or going for a walk, thank you so much for being here. I love you. And let's be friends. Like, come say hi in the DMs on Instagram at soniajmac.coaching. And I'm just so excited for all of the things. Okay. So just wanted to share that little tidbit before I got into the episode. Okay. So let's get into this final part of the 3-part series of the Life Redefined podcast launch. This episode will be talking about the third step from the number one strategy for working through thought spirals. So if you haven't listened to episodes 1 and 2, pause this right now and go listen to that first, because it is the most important pieces to start this whole process. But if you have listened to episodes 1 and 2, let's get right into this one. So, as I mentioned on Monday, the question that I get asked all the time from my community is, how do I stop those pesky negative thoughts, or how do I not let these negative thoughts derail me, and how to shift them? Okay, well, one, I'll just cut to the chase again about that first part of the question, because I want this to be loud for the people in the back so everyone can hear it again and again. And I hope you can hear my clapping hands. And that's all to say, you will never stop those negative thoughts from coming up. They come in their own damn timing, and there is nothing you can do about that, but you can control how you respond to them. So, my number one strategy for how to shift and support yourself through this is with the infamous 3 N's derived from acceptance and commitment training ACT. And today in this episode, I'll be focusing on the third N, which is step 3, called neutralizing your thoughts. This part is where resistance can come up, but it is by far the most powerful piece to this puzzle. So let's get right into it, and be sure to stick around to the end to hear the exciting details about my fun giveaway. Okay, so I'm going off script with this one because it is just like, oh, it is so deep core in my heart to really speak on this one. And neutralizing is such a key component that often gets missed because, as I said in the previous episode, like when you're noticing and naming these thoughts, like you can really get wrapped up in that and be like, okay, I know I have these negative thoughts. I know it's my perfectionism. I know I keep procrastinating. Like, that knowledge and awareness piece is there. So sometimes we can really get stuck in that being aware piece. And once again, that is kind of where we fall into potentially like overthinking, over analyze. We get stuck in that like thinker versus doer. Like you're caught in that thinking mentality of just like, okay, well, if I continue to analyze this, then, I'll find out the answer and I'll dig deep and I will solve this problem. I will fix it. I will change it. I will get rid of it. And that is where we lose the momentum. And that is where we tend to get more stuck. Like, that is the reason why we get so trapped, because we're focusing on fixing. We're focusing on this expectation that, oh, if I am able to name it, then it will go away. Or if I'm able to notice and name it, then everything's going to change. And sometimes we can get really caught up in that kind of thought work where it's like, okay, I am noticing and naming it. And because I have that, things should just automatically be different. And that's just one piece of the puzzle. It's a very important starting piece. Like, as I said, noticing and naming it is like key for you to be able to reflect back and notice your thought patterns. But there's a shift that is required here. And a lot of the time, the neutralizing piece gets missed because, as I said in episode 1 too, this is where sometimes we can battle with those negative thoughts with a positive thought. And a lot of the time our brain can't get behind that. Our brain is like, yeah, okay, well, I feel like I'm a perfectionist, and me just telling myself that's not the case, or I'm not a perfectionist, there's a big gap in between. And it's almost going from this like critical mindset and jumping to like a super supportive mindset. And listen, I'm not knocking that, but at the same time, your brain is going to resist that much more if you are going from one extreme to another extreme. And that's what creates that battle and that friction between these types of situations. So then it's like, that's why you feel stuck. And that's why you're like, okay, well, I keep noticing and naming it and nothing's changing. And our brains are meaning making machines. And I think that is, in essence, why we can struggle in these moments, because our brain wants the familiarity and that sense of comfort and that sense of knowing. And so you've known, you know, your whole life that you've had these certain patterns. So that is what feels safe to your brain. So that's why I say this is a skill, like as if you are taking your brain to the friggin' gym to work out that muscle, to build that skill of neutralizing. So, okay, now I've kind of talked about that. What the heck is neutralizing? When you are neutralizing, you are creating a neutral common ground for your brain to get behind. So let's say you've got like all these racing thoughts and your brain is like, go, go, go. And your brain's just like, oh my, like, let's go down the rabbit hole of perfectionism right now and say, like, you're not good enough, and like this is not perfect, and like you have to keep going and you have to fix it and go, go, go. And really feeling this pressure. And that is what your brain is used to and familiar with. So if your brain is struggling in this moment, it's it's not exactly going to all of a sudden like snap your fingers and be fine with a very supportive thought. If you're struggling in that challenge, this is where the neutral statements are a lot more powerful and supportive, because neutral means your brain could probably get behind that better. So let me just throw out a scale. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how does it feel to hear, I am not a perfectionist and I can get through this no problem? Like if you are in that state of frustration or feeling stuck and all of these thoughts are coming up, on a scale of 1 to 10, how does that thought feel? 10, sorry, I should probably say the scale. One being like, yeah, that's super supportive, or oh my gosh. One being like, my brain definitely cannot get behind that, versus 10 being like, yeah, my brain can totally get behind that. That feels super doable. And I would imagine that your brain is probably on the lower scale, being like, yeah, no, that doesn't feel like I can believe that. And that's why this is hard. We create more resistance when we try to add this like super supportive piece. And so we have to take increments, baby steps, to allow our brain to understand these steps. So, what I like to really think about in this neutralizing state is that you are building a relationship with the thoughts rather than battling them, trying to get rid of them, ignore them, get frustrated with them, like building all of this resistance and negativity towards it. And I like to think of your brain as like an overly helpful friend. It's really coming out, like our brains are evolutionarily built still to this day. Like, think cave people, that pure survival and primal state is still very much ingrained in us today. So your brain doesn't know what is like good change, bad change, like sometimes scary change can actually be very supportive. And, it's so your brain can't decipher that. And so your brain is immediately going to like be like, red flag, this doesn't feel safe. But it's really just allowing your body to notice this survival response. And because that kept you safe in the past. So your first takeaway here when it comes to neutralizing is that this is your mind and body reacting to keep you safe because that is what it has done in the past to protect you, and that has served you in the past. So that's why there's no judgment or shame here, because this is you unlearning certain aspects that no longer serve you in this season of your life. So that's why I say this is a relationship. You're getting to know your brain. You're getting to name these different parts, and you're getting to acknowledge what is really coming up so that you can move through it without the judgment attached to it. So here are some statements that really allow this neutrality. Okay. So, you've noticed and named your thought, and something that could be neutralizing and more supportive in these moments are you looking at this thought and acknowledging it and saying, I know you are trying to protect me. That's okay. I am safe, even if it may not feel like it in the moment. Or something like, I can breathe to support myself through this feeling. It is safe for me to feel this way. Or a big neutralizing supportive statement is thanking your mind. This is the second takeaway, is thank your mind. You're probably like, why the heck would I do that, Sonia? My mind is saying all these crappy things about me. If you think of your brain as like little you, like if I were to think about this as like 6-year-old Sonia, what would I say to that like scared version of me? I'm not going to yell at it or get angry at it. I'm going to realize that, oh crap, like it's scared right now. And little me is scared right now. And they need that support of saying, hey, I see you. And this might feel scary, but we are safe right now. So it's bringing in that safe boundary before you jump into any other thoughts on the other extreme end. So, thanking your mind is something to really allow you, your current self, to look at this and say, okay, this is my brain saying this because these are things that have come up in the past, and that's what my brain knows. So, I'm in a state right now where I can acknowledge that and know that that's what my brain is doing. And so, I'm going to connect with it. I'm going to talk to my brain as if it's like this other entity to let it know that it's okay. So this builds compassion. This builds acceptance. So these are really big moments for you to really allow and acknowledge that that is going on. And so with all of that said, we're here to witness it. We're here to acknowledge it. And this neutral component is building a bridge for your brain to no longer be so scared to walk from that negative side over to that exciting, fun, loving, supportive side. So think of this like neutralizing as the bridge. And each time you have a thought and you decide to neutralize it by saying, "Thank you, brain, for sharing these thoughts. I see you, and I choose to shift from this narrative." Or I am choosing to hold this thought with compassion and move forward anyway. Or I know you are popping up to keep me safe and protect me as a helpful friend, but I am good. Each time you say that to these thoughts, you are building another piece of wood on that bridge to walk closer and closer to that other side. And the thing is, I'm actually really digging this analogy. So the thing is, when you are building these skills, it doesn't mean you're no longer never going to go to that negative side. You could be building that bridge and halfway through, you've like gone so far, you've neutralized, you've been like really working on it, and something big might come up or something that just triggers you, and you run all the way back to that negative side. That, my friend, is you being human. So I just want to say that is part of this process. You're going to be building this bridge for your life. It's not going to be something that is ever completely finished. And a lot of the time, our brain wants to look towards the other side and say, "Hey, like, I want to get to that other side and be done with this." I totally get that. We all want to seek a definitive end or, final outcome. But when it comes to thought work, when it comes to our mindset, when it comes to personal development, we are never done. It is always ever evolving. And hey, you might build this bridge and it might be rickety, but hey, you might decide you might be in a different season of your life and build a different bridge right next to it that is stronger because you have gone through those hurdles and you've been practicing it and you've been utilizing these skills. And so these things take time. So, with this, I think my third takeaway here is when you are neutralizing it, it's not a one and done or end goal component. It is something that you're always going to be working on. And so, I just want to say that is the gist of the neutralizing. And there are a lot of separate techniques to neutralizing, but this one is very specifically tied with notice and naming. So, putting all of this together, notice the thoughts that are coming up when you feel either resistant or you're not taking action on something that you are desiring, and allowing yourself to pause and name it. So saying, "I am noticing that my procrastination is coming up right now," or "Silly Sally," or whatever fun names or names that really resonate with you that can support you through this. And then neutralizing it to say, "Thanks for coming up and showing me where I need a little bit more love today. Thank you for showing up to help me see the parts of me that desire more love and connection. I see you and hold you lovingly." This is a deep practice that takes time. Even these types of statements for neutralizing can also be really hard. And if that's the case, you can go even more neutral to not even relating the neutralizing statement to your thought, but even just bringing in your surroundings and your senses. So you can simply say, "I am noticing that I have some procrastination thoughts right now, and that's okay. And I'm noticing I see a lot of blue, and I smell a meal being cooked, and I see my cat in the corner. These are things that allow you like true neutral state. And the whole component of that is to allow yourself to detach from placing immediate meaning to your identity. Like your brain is a meaning making machine. It wants to create some form of connection here where this is your true and honest self. And a lot of the times when you're moving through this neutral state, your brain wants to add and say, you've done this before. There's evidence that, you have been a procrastinator. And so it ties into your identity and this belief system. And if you're wanting to make changes in your life, if you're wanting to shift your behaviors, it all starts with your thoughts and how you manage those thoughts, how you shift them. And that starting point is ultimately with this number one strategy: noticing so that you can bring awareness to it, naming it so that you can detach any specific meaning or judgment to it. And then the neutralizing is supporting that detachment and supporting yourself to unlearn those old patterns and be able to move through it without having a massive amount of judgment on your shoulders, in all honesty. As I said, this is you building a relationship with the thoughts rather than battling them, trying to get rid of them or ignore them. It's meant to be a conversation with little you to reparent that part of you that might feel scared. And these thoughts are coming up to guide you through it. And it may feel scary, and that is so okay. And you are so capable of moving through it. It all just takes practice of utilizing this skill. So think of this as like a tangible thing that you're like, okay, this is my action step. And to end this with all of these takeaways, your action step is to put this into practice. And so, neutralizing, think of a statement that feels really safe and supportive for your nervous system for where you are currently at. We're not in a place in this moment to be like, let's shoot for the stars and let's pick a massive belief and let's like really focus on that big vision. Not in this moment. There is plenty of space and room to work on that and go for that. And yes, I will definitely have many different podcast episodes all about our vision and our values and actions to get there. Absolutely. But right now, your brain is triggered and your body is potentially going into that survival state. And this is where supporting your nervous system is really taking that deep breath, noticing it, naming it, and really providing a neutral statement of acknowledgement that it's there. These thoughts come and go in their own time. And when you allow yourself to let go of needing to control your thoughts, so much power gets back into your hands. And you are really allowing yourself to step into your ultimate space for love, acceptance, your uniqueness, your entire vision of who you are and your self-worth. And it all brings everything together to strengthen that relationship and connection with yourself. Okay, that was me going on a tangent. I feel like I blacked out. I am not even sure what I ended up saying. But that was just the powerful, raw, honest way of everything coming through for me. And I hope that was helpful. Please shoot me a DM if you decide to notice Damon neutralize. Send me like your statement that you say to yourself. Let me know which statements really resonated with you. I am here for all of it. Okay, so that is the number one strategy to support yourself. I am so thankful for all of you here. This is the end of the giveaway. It ends tonight. I am so excited for this. So, if you're listening to this episode the week that it launches from Monday, August 29th to Friday, September 2nd, I am doing a amazing giveaway, which is a free 90-minute coaching intensive. And this is essentially to support you with 1 to 2 specific concerns you have in your life. And so this giveaway will be open all week, and it officially closes though tonight, September 2nd at midnight. How to enter is listed in the show notes for today's episode, so have a sneak peek at that and head over to my Instagram account at soniajmac.coaching for full details. Basically, you got to be following me on Insta and share this podcast in your stories and tag me, and you are entered. Okay, that is all for today. I love you all so freaking much, and I will see you next week.